It was a hot afternoon when I first saw her. I was walking back from the grocery store, carrying 2 bags in my hands, when I noticed a small girl sitting quietly near the corner of the street. Her clothes were torn, her hair messy, and her face looked pale. But what caught my attention the most were her eyes, big, brown, and full of sadness. She looked no older than 7, and she was holding her stomach as if it hurt. At first, I thought she might be lost. But when I came closer, she looked up at me with timid eyes and whispered, "Do you have something to eat?" That one sentence froze me. There was no greed in her voice, only desperation. I opened one of my grocery bags, took out a loaf of bread, and handed it to her. The way she snatched it and ate it with both hands, as if afraid it would be taken away, broke my heart. She didn't even bother to look around. She just stuffed pieces of bread into her mouth, tears rolling down her cheeks as she chewed. I sat down next to her quietly, letting her eat. People were passing by, some staring, some ignoring, but no one stopping. "Where are your parents?" I asked softly after she slowed down a little. She didn't answer. She just looked at me with fearful eyes, shook her head, and kept eating. I wanted to ask more, but I could tell she didn't trust me yet. So I didn't push. When she finally finished the bread, I offered her a bottle of water. She gulped it down so fast that some spilled on her shirt. After a few minutes, she stood up. She looked at me as if she wanted to say something, but instead, she just whispered, "Thank you," and ran away down the street. I sat there for a while, staring at the empty bottle she had left behind. My heart was heavy. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept wondering, who was she? Where were her parents? Was she safe? But I had no way of finding out. 3 days passed. Life went on. I thought maybe she was just a child from a poor family who had gone back home. But then, one evening, as I was watering the plants outside my house, I saw a small figure standing at the gate. It was her. She looked cleaner this time, though still fragile. And she wasn't alone. Next to her stood a woman, thin, tired, and dressed in worn-out clothes. Her eyes looked as if they hadn't seen sleep in weeks. The little girl clutched her hand tightly and pointed at me. "That's him, Mama. That's the man who gave me food." The woman came closer, hesitating as if she wasn't sure if I'd welcome them. "Sir," she said softly, her voice trembling, "I'm sorry to bother you. My daughter told me what you did for her. I had nothing to give her that day. Nothing." Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to bow her head, but I quickly stopped her. "There's no need for that," I said. "Please, both of you, come inside." I made them sit in my small living room. The girl immediately spotted the fruit bowl on the table, and I handed her an apple. She bit into it happily while her mother sat quietly, fidgeting with her hands. As we sipped tea, the woman finally opened up. Her name was Asha, and her daughter was Mira. Asha had lost her husband 2 years ago in an accident. Since then, life had been a nightmare. She worked as a cleaner whenever she found work, but the income was barely enough to buy food. Sometimes days passed with only water and scraps. That day when I met Mira, they hadn't eaten for almost 2 days. Asha had been out desperately searching for work, leaving her daughter behind. When Mira saw me, hunger had pushed her to ask for food. As Asha spoke, she broke down in tears. "I'm failing as a mother," she whispered. "My daughter is starving because of me." I reached across the table and held her trembling hand. "You're not failing," I said firmly. "You're fighting. And that's what matters." After dinner, when they were about to leave, Mira suddenly clung to my arm. "Can we come again?" she asked with innocent eyes. I smiled and nodded. "Of course, anytime." But before I knew it, Asha spoke up nervously. "Sir, please don't think I'm shameless. But Mira has been happier these few hours than she has been in months. She doesn't stop talking about you. And honestly, I feel safe here too." She paused, her voice breaking. "Would it be too much if we stayed with you for some time?" Her words hit me like a wave. Two strangers, one little girl and her struggling mother, asking to live with me. At first, I didn't know what to say. It was a huge responsibility. I live alone. I work from home. My life was simple and quiet. Letting two people move in would change everything. But then, I looked at Mira. She was sitting on the couch, smiling for the first time since I met her. Her small hands were playing with the apple seeds. And I realized, sometimes life gives us choices that aren't about convenience. They're about humanity. I took a deep breath and said, yes. You both can stay. From that day, my home was no longer silent. There was laughter, footsteps, and the sound of life. Mira started calling me uncle, and followed me everywhere. She helped water the plants, fed the stray cats outside, and even tried to help in the kitchen, though most of the time she just made a mess. Asha, on the other hand, insisted on cooking and cleaning. No, I told her many times, you don't need to do this. But she would just smile and say, let me feel useful. For the first time in a long time, they had 3 meals a day. And for the first time in my life, I had a family. Of course, it wasn't always easy. There were days when Asha cried quietly at night, feeling guilty for depending on me. There were times when money was tight, and I had to stretch my budget. Raising a child, even unofficially, comes with expenses: school, clothes, medicine. But every time I saw Mira run around the house laughing, or Asha smiling as she cooked, I knew it was worth it. Neighbors started noticing. Some whispered, some questioned. Who are they? Why are they living with him? Isn't it strange? At first, I cared. But then I realized, people will always talk. And none of them had seen what I had seen, a starving little girl begging for food on the street. I decided I would not let gossip dictate kindness. Weeks turned into months. Mira changed before my eyes. The thin, frail child I first met grew healthier. Her cheeks were fuller, her hair shinier, her laughter louder. I enrolled her in a nearby school. The first day, she clung to me nervously. Uncle, what if nobody likes me? She asked. I bent down, looked her in the eyes, and said, just be yourself. You'll shine. And she did. Within weeks, she had friends and was excelling in her studies. Asha too began to change. She found part-time work at a tailoring shop, and little by little, her confidence returned. She started dressing better, smiling more, and even humming while cooking. One evening, she said to me, you didn't just feed us. You gave us life again. Her words stayed with me. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that first day. What if I had walked past Mira without noticing? What if I had ignored her hungry eyes? Maybe she and her mother would still be out there, struggling to survive. It scares me to think about it. But it also teaches me something important. Small acts of kindness can change lives. Not just theirs, but yours too. It's been over a year since that day. We are no longer strangers. We are family. Mira now calls me Papa, without hesitation. Asha often thanks me, but I always tell her, you don't need to. We're in this together. My once quiet house is now filled with love, laughter, and warmth. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Life has a strange way of surprising us. I never expected that a starving little girl I fed on the street would return with her mother and change my life forever. But they did. And today, I feel blessed. Sometimes, family isn't about blood. It's about love, care, and the courage to open your heart. And if you ask me now, was it worth it? I will smile and say, more than I could ever imagine.